Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we are stripping away the comfort of the familiar. We aren't just visiting a new world. We're dropping right into a scenario where the environment itself feels like it's actively trying to reject you.
It really does.
We're digging into the novelization of a classic sci-fi adventure, specifically Doctor Who and the Zarbi by Bill Strutton.
And it is a fascinating and, quite frankly, brutal piece of source material. It captures a very specific flavor of 1960s science fiction, where the universe isn't just full of wonder.
No.
It's full of things that defy human understanding and physical safety.
And when you say safety, I mean right from the very first second. Usually in these stories, a ship lands, the engines power down, there's that moment of silence, right?
Yeah, the calm before the storm.
Not here. The hook of this story isn't a visual, it's a sound, and it's a sound that hurts.
That's such a key distinction. The source material emphasizes the sensory assault immediately. The TARDIS lands, and instead of the usual mechanical groaning, the crew, the doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky, are just hit with this wall of noise.
It's described as this high-pitched humming and chirruping.
But it's not just loud,
It feels weaponized.
Precisely. It's described as hovering on the edge of the ultrasonic range. It physically pierces the eardrums. I mean, you've got Vicky, the youngest of the travelers, literally writhing on the floor in pain, covering her ears.
It sets the stakes instantly.
Right. They haven't even stepped outside yet, and the planet is already hurting them.
It creates this immediate sense of hostility. And it's chaotic inside the ship, too. The instruments are going haywire. The scanner isn't just showing a picture. It's exploding with these light bursts. The dials are spinning. The doctor, who we usually look to as the steady hand, the one who knows what's going on, he's completely scrambling.
He admits they've been plucked out of their flight path.
Oh.
And that word is so important. Plucked.
Yeah.
It implies intention. They didn't just drift off course or hit a meteorite. Something reached out and grabbed them.
Which is a terrifying concept. You're in a time machine that travels through the vortex, something that should be beyond the reach of normal physics, and yet something on this planet has the strength to reach out and just drag you down.
It establishes a power tier immediately. Whatever's on this planet, Vortis, possesses immense power. Power enough to override the most advanced technology the characters have. It tells you, the listener, you are small and you are vulnerable here.
So after this violent arrival, they manage to land or, crash essentially on this desolate world. And when they finally look out the window, expecting maybe a jungle or a city, they see, well, a graveyard.
A graveyard of silica. That is the detail that really sticks out in Strutton's description. This isn't a planet of dirt and grass. It's a world of glass, of craggy rocks, and pale light. There are multiple moons hanging in the sky, creating these confusing, shifting shadows.
Silica is such a specific choice, it makes everything sound sharp, brittle.
And sterile. A silica world implies a chemistry that is fundamentally different from Earth's. It feels inorganic. It feels cold. It suggests a world where soft, carbon-based life forms, like us, we're the anomaly.
We're the soft things in a world made of glass knives.
Exactly.
And speaking of anomalies, we have to talk about the water, because this is a classic survival instinct moment that goes horribly wrong. Ian, the school teacher, he's just been through a crash landing. His ears are ringing. He steps out and sees a pool of liquid. His first thought is, thank God, water.
It's the most natural human reaction. He's thirsty. He sees a pool. He goes to cup it in his hands.
And the doctor stops him. Just a split-second save. But the doctor needs to prove a point. He doesn't have a chemistry set, so he improvises. He asks for Ian's tie.
His Coal Hill School old boy's tie. A symbol of his life back on Earth, his status, his entire history, really.
Right, and the doctor takes this tie, this piece of home, dips it into the pool, and, well, it doesn't just get wet.
No, it dissolves instantly.
Smoke rises. The fabric is just eaten away. It's such a visceral image. If Ian had put his hands in there, he would have lost them.
No question.
The doctor speculates it has properties similar to formic acid. Now, you pointed out something really interesting about this in your notes. This isn't just some random chemical choice, is it?
No, it's a brilliant bit of foreshadowing by the author. Formic acid is derived from the Latin word formica,
which means ant.
On Earth, ants use formic acid as a defense mechanism or to attack prey. By making the water of the planet composed of this acid, the author is telling us that the geology itself is an extension of insect life. The planet is essentially one giant ant farm before we even see a single bug.
That is such a cool detail. The environment is hinting at the monster. So you have acid pools, glass rocks, thin air, and then amidst all this desolation, they find statues.
Or what they perceive to be statues at first.
Right. They find these giant winged totem poles. They look majestic, like they're carved from stone. It gives you the sense of, oh, there was a civilization here once.
A bit of hope, almost.
Yeah. But then the doctor gets closer. He taps on one. And it's not stone.
It's a shell. A mummified exoskeleton.
That is just pure horror. You think you're looking at a monument, and you realize you're standing next to a corpse. The hollowed-out husk of some giant creature.
It serves a dual purpose in the narrative. First, it tells us that this planet wasn't always a wasteland. It used to be inhabited by these magnificent butterfly-like beings. And second,
Something eradicated them.
exactly, something killed them. They aren't here anymore. They are just empty shells standing in the wind. It sets up the central mystery. Who killed the butterfly people and who is in charge now?
And they don't have to wait very long to get that answer. Because while they are distracted by these shells, the TARDIS, their only way home, vanishes.
And again, it doesn't just dematerialize,
No, it is dragged away.
leaving a furrow in the hard ground. I mean, think about the physics of that. The TARDIS is heavy. It's dimensionally bigger on the inside. To physically drag it across a silica landscape implies immense physical strength and organization.
And that brings us face to face with the new masters of Vortis,
The Zarbi.
the Zarbi. Strutton describes them as huge, ant-like creatures. They aren't just scaled-up insects. There is something almost metallic about them.
Yeah, they have armored, shiny bodies, massive pincer claws, and they communicate via that incessant chirruping we heard at the start.
They are the stuff of nightmares. But what makes them truly scary isn't just that they are big bugs with claws, it's how they act.
Exactly. They lack individuality. This is the core theme of this deep dive today, I think. The hive mind. A single Zarbi is just a drone. It has no personality, no hesitation, no mercy.
Like together.
Together, directed by a central will, they are a functioning, unstoppable army. They move as one. They think as one.
And they have weapons, but not guns like we know them. This is where the story gets into what we might call biopunk territory today. They use something called venom grubs.
This is such a disturbing detail. The venom grubs are described as giant woodlouse or centipede-like creatures with armored backs and long snouts. And the Zarbis use them as living cannons.
Literally. They hold them, point them, and the grub shoots fire or venom.
It's a symbiotic relationship, or perhaps purely parasitic. The Zarbi control the grubs completely. It blurs the line between biology and technology. The grub is an animal, but it's treated like a rifle.
It really emphasizes how the Zarbi and their master view other living things. Everything is a tool.
Everything is a resource to be used, yes.
So the Doctor and Ian are captured by this insect army. They are herded across the glass plains, and they are taken to the Zarbi headquarters. And this HQ isn't a building.
No, it's a web. A massive, glowing, organic web. It pulses with light. It's alive. The source text mentions that the tunnels actually expand and grow while you watch them. It functions as a radar, a command center, and a habitat all at once. It's a living fortress.
And at the center of this web sits the brain, the voice, or the animus. In the book, it's presented as this disembodied, booming authority inside a transparent dome.
The interaction with the voice is chilling. It descends this dome over the Doctor's head to interrogate him. It creates a Hall of Mirrors effect, distorting the Doctor's face. It represents pure, unyielding authority. It doesn't negotiate.
It demands.
It demands. And it has a very specific way of ensuring that its demands are met.
The gold necklets. These things look like jewelry gold, wishbone-shaped collars. But you do not want to put one on.
Oh, no. Their function is to morphitize the wearer.
That's a word specific to this story, right? Morphitized?
Yes. It essentially means the total suppression of the individual will. If you clamp one of these on a victim's neck, they become a zombie. They lose their memory, their personality, their autonomy. They become just another cell in the hive body.
We actually see this happen to Vicky. She gets separated, captured, and they just slap a collar on her, and the transformation is instant.
That's terrifying.
1 minute, she's a terrified young girl. The next, she's blank. She's walking into walls if they tell her to.
It's a horrific violation. It strips away humanity. It highlights that central conflict, the chaos and beauty of individuality versus the cold, efficient order of the hive. For the Doctor, seeing his companion turned into a mindless puppet is deeply personal. It raises the stakes beyond just physical survival.
But the Doctor, well, he's the Doctor. He fights it. But before we get to his counterattack, we need to look at the other side of the war. Because while the Doctor and Ian are being dragged to the web, Barbara, the history teacher, has managed to escape into the wasteland. And she runs into the original landlords, the Menoptera.
The butterfly people. The ones whose empty shells we saw earlier.
But these ones are alive, Reston and Hrostar, and they are the complete opposite of the Zarbi.
Oh, the contrast is so stark and so deliberate. The Zarbis are metallic, chirping, mindless, and grounded. The Menoptera are organic, articulate, colorful, and winged. They represent culture, history, emotion.
Yeah, they explained to Barbara that they were the masters of Vortis until the Dark Age. When the Zarbi and the Animus took over, they were driven into exile on the moons.
It's a classic fallen angel narrative. They were the rulers of paradise, and they were cast out into the cold. But now, they've returned. They have launched an invasion to reclaim their world.
Well, to be honest, it's not going well.
It is an absolute disaster. The source material paints a very, very bleak picture. They sent a spearhead, an advanced invasion force, but their technology has failed them. Their communicators are smashed. They can't coordinate with the main fleet.
They're walking into a massacre.
Exactly. The Zarbis have the web radar, they have the venom grubs, they have the acid. The Menoptera have spears and bravery. It is a technological and military mismatch. They're beautiful, but they're fragile.
There's a real cultural divide, too. The Menoptera view the Zarbi as a disease, a plague. Reston, the leader, he can't even conceive of negotiating with them.
And the Voice views the Menoptera as an existential threat to be exterminated. It's a war of annihilation. There's no middle ground here, and our travelers are caught right in the crossfire.
So, back at the Web Center, the Doctor is trying to survive. The Zarbi think the TARDIS is a weapon or part of the invasion. They want its secrets.
Right. And the Doctor realizes he can't fight a giant ant in hand-to-hand combat. So he uses his intellect. He bluffs. He tells the Voice that the TARDIS contains vital secrets, but he can't access them because of the planet's atmospheric interference. It's a brilliant move.
I love the moment where the Zarbi try to brute force the TARDIS. They try to shoot it with a venom grub.
The TARDIS defense.
Yeah.
It's a great moment. The ship has a magnetic repellent field. When the grub fires, the entity just kicks back and knocks the Zarbi out cold.
Oh, yeah.
It's the ship protecting itself. And the Doctor uses this to his advantage, basically saying, see, my technology is too advanced for you. You need my help to unlock it.
So he gets them to set him up with a lab. He pretends to help them locate the Menoptera invasion fleet using his astral map.
The astral map is a beautiful piece of retrofuturism. He projects the star system to dazzle the Zarbi. But while they are staring at the pretty lights, he is basically MacGyvering a solution to the slave callers.
This is the scientist at work. He realizes the callers operate on a specific frequency.
Right, so he builds a jamming device using components from the TARDIS console. And he takes a huge risk. He tests it on himself, he puts a collar on, feels that cold control taking over his mind, and then flips the switch.
And it works. The control breaks. It proves that the Animus isn't some god, it's just using physics. And physics can be hacked.
But in the middle of this high-stakes espionage, there is this bizarre, almost comical moment that reveals so much about the Zarbi. The Doctor has a specimen case with a preserved tarantula in it, and it falls out.
The spider moment.
Yes, and these giant tank-sized metallic ants see this tiny dead spider, and they recoil in terror.
It's hilarious, but it's also kind of deep, isn't it?
It is. It suggests a primal genetic fear. Perhaps in their evolutionary history, before they became giant, spiders were their predators. It shows that underneath the armor and the hive mind, they are still insects. They have instincts that override their logic.
And the Doctor files that away.
Oh, absolutely. He files that away. They can be frightened.
So while the Doctor is exploiting their fears, Barbara is seeing the brutality of their rule up close. She's been captured and taken to the Crater of Needles,
which is a labor camp. The Zarbis have enslaved the Menoptera who didn't escape the planet. They've clipped their wings, or their wings have just atrophied from despair.
Yeah.
They're forced to mine rocks.
Mining rocks to feed the web?
Exactly. Dissolving them in acid pools to feed the growing web. It's just grim.
But here, we meet the Resistance. We meet Hrostar, a captured warrior, and Propillus. Propillus is my favorite. He's this old, cranky, but incredibly sharp Menoptera.
Propillus represents the wisdom that the younger warriors lack. The young ones just want to charge in and fight. Propillus observes. He knows how the Zarbi think, or rather, how they don't think.
And there's this standoff at their slave hut. A venom grub is pointed right at the door. If they move, they get blasted.
So Propillus uses their own nature against them. He doesn't scream or throw a rock. He chirrups.
He speaks ant.
He mimics their communication signals. And it confuses the guard. It's a distraction. And in that split second of confusion, this old Menoptera leaps onto the Zarbi's back.
It turns into a full-on prison break. They rush the guard, club the Zarbi and the grub with rocks. It's desperate. It's messy.
But they break free. They escape into the wasteland to warn the invasion fleet. It's a crucial victory. It shows that the Zarbis are rigid. They can't handle the unexpected. Propillus used creativity to defeat programming.
Now we have to talk about Ian, because Ian has had arguably the weirdest journey of everyone. He escaped the web center, blew a hole in a door with a captured venom grub, which was awesome.
A very risky move.
Very risky. But then he meets Reston, and they fall into a trap.
Quite literally. They hide in a cave, the ground gives way, it's a sand sinkhole, and they just plummet into the depths of the planet.
And this is where the story goes from sci-fi horror to psychedelic nightmare. They land in the domain of the Optera.
The Optera are a fascinating biological divergence. These are the descendants of the Menoptera who didn't flee to the moons and didn't get enslaved. They went underground.
And they change.
Drastically. They have devolved. They have no wings. They are pale, hunchbacked, with these huge eyes adapted for the dark. They hop like crickets rather than fly.
And the environment down there? It's described as having walls painted in bright, crazy colors. It smells of sulfur. It's hot.
It's a hellscape compared to the cold surface. And the Optera are hostile. They view Reston, who looks like a beautiful angel to us, as a surface demon.
Their method of capturing Ian and Reston is, well, it made me wince reading it. They have this cauldron of boiling wax or gum.
It's a horrifying form of restraint. They force Ian and Reston to dip their hands and feet into this boiling liquid. It doesn't burn the skin off, but it hardens instantly into a rock-hard casing.
So Ian is trapped in a psychedelic cave, surrounded by mutant cricket people with corkscrew spears, and his hands are glued together.
It just highlights the tragedy of this species. Reston looks at the Optera with contempt, calling them savages. But they're his kin. They are what his people become when you take away the sky.
So the board is set for the finale. The Doctor and Vicky are hostages at the web. Barbara is running through the wasteland with the Resistance. Ian is glued up in the underworld. And the massive Menoptera invasion fleet is descending from the sky.
And this is where the tragedy hits. The Doctor, usually the smartest person in the room, makes a mistake. Or rather, he underestimates the enemy.
He had that tape recorder. He recorded the invasion plans from a radio transmission he intercepted earlier. He tried to hide it.
He thought he could keep the information safe. But the voice, the animus, is all-seeing within its web. It knows. It forces the Doctor to play the tape.
And it's not just noise, it's the coordinates. Scio Plateau.
The landing zone. The Doctor watches in horror as the tape broadcasts the exact location of the invasion to the enemy. The animus just booms in triumph. It now knows exactly where to aim its guns.
The Doctor tries to stop it, but he's powerless. He and Vicky are rehypnotized. They're stood against the wall like statues. The Zarbi armies mobilize. They march to the Scio Plateau.
And the invasion fleet is flying blind. They think they have the element of surprise. They're expecting a landing zone. Instead, they're flying directly into a kill box.
It's a cliffhanger of massive proportions. The heroes haven't just failed to escape. They have inadvertently given the bad guys the key to total victory.
It forces you to realize that intelligence alone isn't enough against a hive mind that controls the environment. The Doctor's arrogance, thinking he could pluff a planetary consciousness, has put an entire civilization at risk of extinction.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just look at the situation. The crew is scattered. The Doctor is a mind-controlled puppet. Ian is trapped in the center of the Earth. Barbara is helpless in the desert. And a massacre is about to start.
It's the ultimate all-is-lost moment. It really is.
But there's one final thought I want to leave with you. Throughout this whole story, we talk about the Zarbi and the Animus. But the Animus controls the acid. It controls the magnetic fields. It controls the web that grows out of the ground.
That is the provocative question to end on, isn't it? Is the Animus just an invader sitting on the planet? Or has it become the planet?
Right.
When you are fighting an enemy that can weaponize the water, the rocks, and the gravity, are you fighting a monster or are you fighting the world itself?
Is the planet itself the enemy? That is a terrifying thought to sleep on.
It is.
Yeah.
And it leaves us wondering, how can a divided crew with no TARDIS and no weapons possibly defeat a living planet?
That is a question for another time. Thank you for joining us on this trip to Vortis. It's been loud, acidic, and terrifying.
Indeed. Goodbye.